All right, we should be live. Hey everyone, it is Monday, February 27th. The time is, I don't know, my watch is covered up and my phone is in my pocket, but it's not quite 5:30 p.m. yet, and the temperature is around -2 degrees Celsius. I'm here not far from home in Midtown, although if all goes to plan, I will end up being rather far from home. And about 45 minutes ago, it started snowing. It's been progressively getting heavier. Hopefully, you can see and hear everything okay. Hello, Mark, Lauren, Josephine, Yogi. Heinzel is here. Marge is here. Long time no see. And my screen is wet. But I am here. I went with the JS hat. Maybe I could zip this up a little bit more. I've got my microphone kind of just peeking out. The important bit is covered up. Marie Palmer is here. Hello. So the last time I was out and about live streaming was during a snowstorm last week. And now we find ourselves in another one. Hello, Brad Palmer. So this is south down the west side of Yonge Street, just north of Yonge and Eglinton. And just over on that side of the street, you'll see a Dollarama. And right up here is another Dollarama. So we've got two Dollaramas. And I would have thought that this one over here is closing when this one moved into this new building on the right, but no. I asked their staff and both are going to operate for the foreseeable future. I think the one over on the left there, its lease isn't up for another 2 years. So if the guy at the store was telling me the truth, we're going to have dueling Dollaramas. Works for me. Dakota says rip Toys R Us. Yeah, there's lots of people that kind of disappointingly walk up to that Toys R Us and see that it's no longer there. Chris Back is here. Gordon Enright is here. I didn't feel like getting too crazy with this one, so we're just going south from Midtown towards downtown. Then when I get downtown, I think I'm going to have myself a meal and then maybe record a video after that. Hopefully it's still snowing by then. I think it's supposed to snow until about 10 or 11 p.m. Well, it's blowing right into my eyes. Mr. Mountain Hiker just biked up from downtown. Yeah, I saw some guy on his e-scooter on Yonge Street, just kind of carefully going down it. I'm like, don't know if that's such a hot idea, but he probably was out long before the snow came. Oh man, I need goggles or something. My eyes are getting pelted here. I am using the old gimbal, so don't worry. If it dies, it dies. Gabriella Polino, Johnny, here's a little extra towards your meal tonight. Thank you very much, Gabriella. I had leftover Domino's for lunch. Who knows what dinner's going to be. So this is Young and Eglinton coming up. Clayton Crawford, $10. Johnny, you are hardcore, dude, to keep warm. Thank you, Clayton. I just saw a few emails from you pop up. I'm going to have to take a look. Thank you, Gabriella. Thank you, Clayton. Yeah, my last two outdoor streams have not been in great conditions, but it's more fun this way. Welcome to the intersection of Young and Eglinton. 200 Japanese yen super chat. Thank you. Arigato. Here's a look at Young and Eglinton. I'm just going to wait for the next light cycle, and then we'll have to cross over to the east side of Yonge Street. I've got my new cycling gloves on. My windproof Tiekias. I wore them out yesterday and they worked quite well. Alright, let's try to step down here without rolling an ankle. Clifford Taylor saying, what's up? This weather's pretty nuts. Michael Nguyen says it's too cold outside. It's not that cold. It's really just the wind and the snow piercing your face that is making it feel cold. But it's actually only like -2 or -3. Christine Camley, $20. Thank you for braving the elements. A nice bevy afterwards might be nice. Stay safe. Thank you, Christine, for the positive words of encouragement and the support. Much appreciated, Christine. Hope you have a great day. Just talking to a viewer. Someone was mocking me. In a friendly way, but thanks, Christine. I spent my afternoon finalizing my hotel for the last night of my trip and applying for my visa to Vietnam. I've already got my first visa in order. And what the heck, I reached out to a few places that look kind of neat to see if they wanted to make any deals. So that's all I've done today. There's the Mandarin. It's snowing out on the west coast. Noni says you wish you're overseas right now. Actually, I don't. I kind of want to be here for all the remaining winter storm action. I'd rather be here now and go away in April when we have that kind of transitioning period into spring. Johnny asking me to send some snow to New York. I'm just gonna let this car turn. Ah, my face is getting pelted. Feels like someone is throwing darts at it. So if I were smart, I would be walking east and keep that wind to my back. You know what? Since the wind is blowing east, why don't I walk on the right side of the street and have the buildings on my right? Seems like it would be the smarter thing to do. Yeah, let's do that. This piece says the wind is sending the snow sideways in Mississauga. Clifford Taylor says change direction. Well, that's what we're doing. I'm at least changing the side of the street I'm on. You can see the wind blowing across right now. We're gonna hopefully make things more tolerable. March, $5, freezing rain. Warning, get a cold or get a hot chocolate to keep warm. Whatever this is, it is nasty stuff. Simon says, Johnny, you're nuts. I'm currently down on Queen's Quay and can barely see outside. You know, I told myself I was going to save my stream until there was some snow. I thought maybe it would be one of those pleasant snowfalls. Oh well. Liz P, $20 for going above and beyond. Thank you. Thank you very much to Liz P for your support. And I saw someone mention some flights at Billy Bishop have been canceled. I don't think Billy Bishop would be as well equipped as Pearson to handle conditions like this. Last time, or a week ago, a ton of flights were canceled at Pearson. Presentation center going in. Of course the wind is now blowing left to right. It's like when you're in the slow moving lane of traffic and you finally work your way out of it and then you end up in the lane that's just sitting there and the lane you were in starts moving. All right, we got over 400 viewers. We're only 14 minutes in. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new here, I go live. There goes a brave cyclist. 3 or 4 times a week on this channel with videos almost every day. So if that tickles your fancy, feel free to subscribe. Well, just make sure no cars are coming. Hi, Johnny, enjoy the weather. What I need to do is maybe get over to Riverdale Park, a place I haven't actually been to in a while, and check out some of the sledding action. Maybe around like 4 p.m. or so when all the kids are done with school. There's Dave's Hot Chicken on the right. And St. Louis Bar and Grill. Don't spin around like you did in Montreal and fall on your butt. I didn't spin in Montreal. Well, I did on stream, actually. You're right. Walking Man dude in the house. What's that all about, eh? Look north, back up to Midtown. I don't even know if my touchscreen is responsive. Oh, there we go. Walking Man dude, I think we can all agree you need to make some more videos. Good evening, Chris G. That is new, Slayer Burger. I'm always down to try a new burger joint out. You know, Action Kid was kind of fond of Holy Chuck, which is 2 subway stops south of here. I wonder if all those people who placed orders with this place during the pandemic actually got their furniture yet. There was non-stop horror stories from people who placed orders with StruckTube. Which sucks, because if you live in like a condo or apartment and you want to sell your couch and replace it with a new one, if you don't know when the hell the new one is coming, kind of makes coordinating all that difficult. AK in the house says Holy Chuck was awesome. I can agree with that. AK does a lot of food reviews. Sorry? AK does a lot of food reviews on his other channel. This guy was singing. I thought he might have been talking to me. So I slowed down. All right, so we're coming up upon Davisville. So I'm just gonna keep walking south here. Marge is telling Action Kid to come back to Toronto soon. I was chatting with him earlier. It sounds like we're both going to be traveling all over in the coming year. But if you want specifics, you'll have to go ask him what he's going to do. see people with umbrellas. An umbrella is almost useless when it's this windy out. It can kind of shield your face, but it's also going to blow inside out 100,000 times. I'm just going to step over here while we wait for the light signal. There's where I sometimes rent cars from. Just across the street is the headquarters of the TTC, and you can hear a train rolling in the station. That is Davisville Station. All right, we're gonna get to cross here. That guy not waiting for the sign. Actually, could use the subway station. Didn't you stay at an Airbnb right around the corner from here? I have not used Airbnb in a very long time. I'll be staying at an Airbnb my first 3 nights of my trip. Don't let ChatGPT take over your brain. I don't know. Should I do another video where ChatGPT tells me what to do? Just looking to the bus bays at Davisville Station. I think we'll see some subway trains rolling by at Oriole Park, just on the other side of the rail corridor here. On Kilbury Road, which has a bike lane on it. It's quite convenient. Do I find it's the same price as the hotel for Airbnb? I normally prefer to stay in hotels. I also think Airbnb plays an enormous role in destroying our housing market in the city. So I'm kind of fundamentally opposed to it as a service, but where I'm staying, all the hotels are booked. And the few that are available are insanely expensive, so I really didn't have a choice. We have a northbound train rolling in. If you're wondering why it's going so slow, it's because there's already a train in front of it on the platform, and that train is just rolling away. So we've got ourselves a subway traffic jam. Susie says free hotel breakfast. I am rarely up in time. Every time I'm at a hotel that has free breakfast, I always wake up at like 10:30 and go, when did that free breakfast end? And it's usually like 10:30. Although in Montreal, I was able to take advantage of it. Let me get the lens wipe, just in case. So we're at the Beltline Trail. The goal for this stream is just to make it into downtown. Once I'm there, I'm going to find a cafe or restaurant, go inside, warm up a little bit, plan a walk. Dan, $5 super sticker. Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. I had fun playing City Guesser on the stream last night on Johnny Stumbles. Oh, Vivian Johnson, our CEO, has showed up. Greetings, Vivian. So maybe we'll play a little more City Guesser on future streams. The reason I stopped playing it before was I had kind of gone through all the videos they played, so it lost its fun when you're on reruns. Marge is asking if I'm wearing my Merrells. I am. They are fantastic boots. This slide walk is slippery as shit, but I've got pretty good footing. There's Mount Pleasant Cemetery just across the street. Monica in the house. Long time no see. Greetings, Monica. Toronto Orion bus fan. Aren't Orion buses from Mississauga? I wonder if CJ Hoyle is going to do a cross-country skiing video in the Annex neighborhood after all this snow. John Amir says have to persuade Ken to get proper winter boots. Does he just wear his Vessies outside? I made the enormous mistake of not bringing boots to Montreal. CJ Hoyle already did a skating video in Peterborough. Neat. I didn't get the notification for that. It's like non-stop subways. There's a trooper cycling down Yonge Street. And behind me is someone pushing their bike up the sidewalk. Gaby says no thanks to cycling on this. Well, I took my Fat Tire e-bike out yesterday to record a wintry ride, and I got a flat tire. And I had to push that thing to the subway, and then I had to transfer lines. Then I had to push it home, and now it's just sitting in the entrance to my apartment. I'll have to see about getting that back tire repaired. Vicky asking what's the temperature. I think it's about -2 or -3. Maybe -10 with the wind chill. It's not so bad. I think the snow is supposed to get a little heavier in an hour or so. We're at Heath Street. So we are approaching Yonge and St. Clair. What's in here? Not a whole lot. There's a sushi restaurant and a few other spots. AK, waiting for that moment when we pass Holy Chuck. There's the Timmy's, where I went to with AK, I think. That's right around where we finished recording his video, I think, when he came from Billy Bishop Airport all the way up to Midtown. Action Kid says Yonge and St. Clair has a good Loblaws. Correction, there's no such thing as a good Loblaws. They have been rightfully so vilified in the media. But I guess if you exclude the prices, it's actually an excellent grocery store. There's also a Farm Boy right across the street that recently opened up. So here's St. Clair Avenue coming up. Clayton Crawford says 220 likes, 713 viewers. Thanks, guys. I really wish YouTube still showed us the dislikes. I can go see it on the back end. That guy not wearing gloves, not wearing a helmet. using his foot to help him stop. Good luck to you, sir. Oh, he does have gloves on. I thought he had his hands in his sleeves. That's some good driving. There's no right turns allowed at this time, hence all the honking as that car dangerously turned through pedestrians. And that's actually right where a cyclist was hit and lost his life a few months ago by a driver making a prohibited right turn. Is it legal not to have a helmet? Yes, it's only required to have a helmet if you're riding an e-bike. There's a lot of people getting on that streetcar. If you're just on a regular bike and you're an adult, no helmet required. There might be a different law if you're under 14. I know with biking on the sidewalk, if you're over 14, that's illegal. As it absolutely should be, of course. So Holy Chuck will be coming up very soon. There it is, Action Kid. He had his first Montreal-style bagel at the Bagel House next to Holy Chuck. How did it compare to St. Viateur? I think we both went to one of the most renowned bagel shops in Montreal when we were there.
The water is a very big part.
I only went there because a viewer mentioned it. It turned out to be one of the best meals I've had in Montreal. Bagel House's bagels were stale compared to St. Viateur. And what sucks is when you only go to a place once, were you just there at a bad time? Or are they always like that? It's hard to really know. Christine Camley suggesting Fairmont or Fairmount. Sorry, my screen is covered in precipitation in Montreal. Well, I lucked out because I passed up on going to Schwartz's and ended up at St. Viateur. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Lisa vouching for the bagel place and the St. Lawrence Market. That's where Action Kid had a P-mail bacon sandwich. Lisa says, I think Schwartz's is highly overrated. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, but I thought Dunn's was equally good. But the atmosphere at Schwartz's is one of a kind. I think that alone makes it worth going to. But I'm sure locals will tell you other places that are just as good and a little bit under the radar. I'm adding the Artful Dodger to my list of places in Toronto. They offer fantastic food at very reasonable prices. I had their pulled pork sandwich on Saturday night, and it was excellent. Honk honk. How are you gonna get it out of this pickle? They seem to have figured it out. There used to be an awesome deli on Eglinton called Yitz's. I remember I learned about it because Kenny and Spenny went there in one of their episodes, and me and my friends decided to go. It was fantastic, but unfortunately, the crosstown LRT construction contributed heavily to the demise of that place. The storefront was virtually inaccessible for several years, and they tried to hang on as long as they could, but they didn't make it. I think it was Katz's Deli up on Dufferin that was also a mainstay. Bash Brannigan, 699. You said most of ChatGPT suggestions weren't doable. What was usually wrong? It was telling me to go in directions that were opposite of what it was describing. And it was telling me I'd be walking by tourist attractions that I wouldn't be. It made all kinds of silly mistakes. And when I would tell it to correct its mistakes, it would correct the mistake. But then it would take other things that it got right previously and get them wrong all of a sudden. I don't think ChatGPT is ready for prime time yet. It literally took me 20 takes to get that intro to today's video that you saw. Hey, I ordered some Domino's last night. No, I don't believe Katz is still there. I think that's the name, right across from Yorkdale Mall, pretty much. Jeff says Kaplansky's. Kaplansky's used to be on College Street. But apparently they got into like an argument with their landlord and ended up getting locked out. Now it's called like the Hogtown Vegan. But I thought Kaplansky's was alright. I remember watching a Baltimore Orioles versus Blue Jays game, and I put on the Baltimore feed. And they were showing little parts of the city, and they decided to highlight Kaplansky's Deli, which I thought was kind of neat. There's a little doggy. John says $8.85. Yeah, I remember when you used to be able to get a $5 or $6 pickup. Most pizza shops. Alcorn Avenue. There's Shaftesbury. Oh man, this wind just picked up. So Summer Hill Station is just over there. Gertej, I don't know. I've not seen Charlie in a while. I'll see him later this week, I think. Tricky Dicky 1999 super sticker. Thank you for the support, Tricky Dicky. Thank you very much. As that driver carefully turns north on Yonge Street. Toronto was doing a TikTok live and someone asked you if you were Johnny Strides. I've heard that from other people who said they were out recording and people have asked them if they were me. Just say yes, have some fun with it. We have found a bit of a reprieve. Unfortunately, my hood didn't... Yeah, it did actually. I thought it fell down. How's the microphone doing? Oof. You're ordering a lav mic. I kind of go through those things like candy.
I saw somebody.
I like the Shure MVL. It's a good affordable lav mic, but the cable doesn't stand up. So I switched to the Rode Lav. They've got two. There's a TRS and a TRRS version. It's the same mic, just different connectors. But they're about 100 to 120 bucks. And they work quite well. Throw a wind muff on them and they work really well if you're riding your bike through heavy winds and that sort of thing. Or you could just get like a Rode Wireless Go or a DJI mic. They've got little wind muffs on them as well. That's what I'm using right now. There's a hipstery coffee spot. Espresso $3.75, Cortado $4.25, Americano $4, latte $4.75. Did we go back in time like 5-10 years ago? That is reasonable looking pricing. I think I went to a St. James Coffee on Ossington Avenue and it was pretty good. Trick, $5. Thank you. Sorry, if I got the name wrong, there's a lot of moisture on the screen. But thank you for the super. Much appreciated. Lisa says not for the size, I bet. You're probably right on that. Still, it's nice to see a cafe where all the prices are in and under $5. Chris Mill says it's looking downright wintry over here. And where this Starbucks is, looks like there's going to be a not super attractive building going in here, and only 12 stories. I bet the local Summerhill and Rosedale neighborhood, or Summerhill and Rosedale residents had their pitchforks out when that thing was proposed. The developer had no chance of getting a taller building put in, despite this being a major corridor on a transit line. This is super NIMBY country on this little stretch of Yonge. But they lost their war against the bike lanes. All right, there's Rosedale Station on the left and Crescent Road. Canadian government banned government workers from using TikTok. Good. I'm about to ban myself from using that shitty app.
I told you, you know what the problem is?
I keep flagging my videos as dangerous when all I'm doing is walking down the street. I've been experimenting, and if I put a little link telling people, or a notice telling people to go to YouTube, they also de-emphasize the video. Jenny K, $10. Because the weather is crappy and you may need a drink afterwards. I did my best to try to read that. Thank you, Jenny K. Keeping people safe up in the Great White North. There's Ramsden Park. Chris Mills says, call me crazy, but at work you should be working. I don't know about that. I think there's people at work tend to get burned out pretty quick. And the best jobs where I've been the most productive have been the ones where I don't pay attention to what I'm doing at all. Like if you go to a restaurant or hotel and you see employees on their cell phone, that might seem annoying. But if they're not abusing it, people deserve to have their little breaks, even during work time. And if it gets them through the day and they're not impacting their performance, why not? Jason Stewart, $4.99. Hi, Johnny. What is your footwear of choice for the current weather in Toronto? I'm a big fan of, well, thank you for the super chat. I'm a big fan of like the rugged hiking boot slash shoe boot. I don't like wearing big honking boots. So what I'm wearing right now is actually perfect. Oh. Sorry, I just took like an ice pellet right to the eyeball. That guys. No momento, por favor. Whew. Yeah, I think we'll be okay. I also don't want this person in front of me to think I'm following them. Look at that wind.
Do you know this guy?
Before assuming anything. Ash Brannigan says, I need an umbrella. Not much use in this. The wind is blowing so strong anyways. And then both of my hands are going to be tied up. Yeah, Clayton, that must suck. Someone made a comment on my TikTok video that those DoorDash bags should not be used in the winter. They don't close up properly, and they're not very thick or insulating. Versus those big black cubes you see on people's backpacks or on the back of their bikes and scooters. Lisa says, I didn't know there was a difference. Yeah, those red ones you see are really not much different than those non-disposable shopping bags people have. Not very good for keeping hot food hot, especially in conditions like this. And we're at the spot where I started my ill-fated e-bike ride yesterday, right in this little park here. So this is the Yorkville neighborhood just over there. And the Masonic Temple. Jane says people deliver food on snowmobiles in Barrie. Neat. I wonder how economical that is from a cost of operating the snowmobile versus what you make point of view. Here's the reference library, so we are just a few blocks away from the stated goal of going downtown. What went wrong with the e-bike? The rear got a flat right around Harvard and Spadina at some point shortly after I turned west onto Harvard. I felt the back tire losing air, and then eventually I was right on the rim. Once upon a time, there used to be a Starbucks and a Timmy's right there. And now there are neither. The Care Company, where we don't care to learn how to drive.
Thank you.
And it is going left on Bloor Street. Jeanette, $5. Thanks for the chili walk. Thank you for the fiver, Jeanette. Thank you. And JR, $4.99 super sticker. Thank you, JR. Thank you as well. As we are now downtown. Woohoo! Have ourselves a scramble crossing. So this is slippery footing. Chris Mills, $10. You, sir, are an inspiration. I'll be a snowy one. Thank you, Chris Mills. Thank you, Chris, and everyone else who sent their support. Oh, I dropped my glove. One sec. There we go. We got that bastard back on. So I do have a night walk coming up going south on Yonge Street from Saturday night. At night, I left the bar a little tipsy, and that starts just south of here, so let's not duplicate that. It also means a Yonge Street night walk will not be on the cards for tonight either. This is Charles Street. It's So we've left the hustle and bustle of Young. There's the 7 West Cafe. That's an excellent spot, just on the left. Eight-Mile Detroit-style pizza. Oh, too bad I had leftover pizza for lunch. No! I had a feeling it wouldn't be open on a Monday, but I kind of felt like some okonomiyaki. Yeah, I know I said that wrong. Okonomiyaki tonight. But the Economy House not open. Game over, man. Game over. No delicious, affordable Japanese food for me. At least not from there. Well, on the plus side, the stream gets extended. Sorry, I'm now walking north. Oliver, $5. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you. Oh man, that sidewalk plow did a bang up job. There's someone carefully navigating on their bike. So we've made it to Blue Street, Bloor Street. Neil, $5. Thank you, Neil. Thank you very much for the support and the fiver. And straight ahead is a Timmy's. Oh man. Oh, my face is getting pelted. All right, lots of tables in there. I think I'm gonna go grab a warm drink in that Timmy's and think of a plan for a walking video. I might just go south down Bay Street here, down to Yonge. We'll keep it lazy. But I think I'm gonna end the live stream. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank our mods for their good work. Thanks to our channel members and Patreon supporters. If you do wish to support the channel, there's links to getting membership in the description. I have an Instagram account at Johnny Strides. And huge thanks to those who sent support during the stream. But I'm gonna go in and have a coffee and a donut, record a video, maybe I'll have some dinner, and I'll go home, maybe I'll record a second video. I don't know. I want to thank everyone. Also, there's the real hero right there, the microphone. Surviving this crap. Sorry the stream was a bit on the shorter side, but thanks again, guys. As always, I will catch you on the next one. Oh, .com. Yeah, I can't... Johnny Strides, thank you for the introduction to the Toronto Tech and Transit. Had a great time. You're welcome, .com. I'm glad you enjoyed Henry's channel. Henry does an excellent job covering the streets of Toronto as well. And he's a little more transit-oriented, especially with his shorts. A lot of good content there, but thank you so much, guys. Stay warm, stay safe, and I shall catch you on the next one. Apparently, oh, I missed Gail's $5 super chat. Let me scroll up. Thank you, Gail, for the $5. Sorry guys, my screen is soaking wet and it's barely responding to my fingerprints or my touches, and I can barely see it. But thank you again. All right, time to go into Timmy's. Thanks guys. Yoink.